Good morning, good afternoon, whatever may be the case. My name is Cecil Young, as you can see. I come to you live and in color through Soundview TV, and I hope that y'all have been following us in terms of the issues that I've been raising, because there go the grace of God could be you. Thank God that I was able to survive long enough, to be able to recover from what they've done to me to some degree. But that's because of my early years of working and my early years of being in the eye of the storm. So therefore, I come to you to say to you today that after all of what you've been seeing and me tell you about and posting, I hope that you will help me try to get the system to respond to these allegations about my so-called unjust termination, they said I voluntarily resigned. But as you will see here with some of the exhibits, that I was basically framed, I was set up. Here you have a letter here from the city of Bridgeport, which right there, we'll read the letter indicating exactly what was the reason for my termination.
The letter is dated March 20th, 2006. Unauthorized absence. Dear Mr. Young, you were advised via a letter from the Labor Relations dated 3/10/2006 that you must return to work immediately or you would be deemed to have voluntarily resigned your position as a security guard with the city of Bridgeport. As of Friday, March 17, 2006, you have not returned to work. There is no valid reason for your absence, therefore your absence is considered unauthorized and your employment with the city is hereby terminated effective immediately. And the letter was written by Marion Evans, Director of Health and Social Services.
And you know what's so sad about that? Dr. Mary Evans is a friend of mine. I liked her. She was a good director of health. And it troubled me because she told me when she got the complaint from the mayor's office and from other officials telling her that Dr. Evans, what are you going to do about Cecil Young? He made you look like a fool, Dr. Evans, by him exposing these terminated dirt piles. Because I had the audacity to expose these terminated dirt piles, against the city. And it troubled me that let me back up again. Let me first of all go back to dealing with the letter. The letter had said basically that I was terminated for not coming to work as of March 6, 2016. Here you will see a time card showing that that was not the case, that I did return to work on March 6, 2016. And it troubled me to hear that you now have a page stub, check stub, for that week that I did work, meaning that day that I did come in and work that hour and a half, which I was supposed to only work 3 hours that day. And it troubled me too as well because when you look at the fact that I requested a doctor's request from them, that I wanted a medical leave release from the job, they said they would give it to me, they wouldn't give it to me. And I ended up having them have to write 3 different letters. My doctors wrote 3 different letters. One was signed by a nurse, they refused that. One was ended up being told it wasn't signed, so they had to refuse that. So they ended up forcing the doctor to sign the other note, indicating that I need to be out under extreme anxiety because of the depression that it had caused me in terms of me losing my job. And it troubled me because they used the excuse with the labor board. The reason why they said the city was justifiable in terminating me was because they called my doctor's note literally strips of paper. As you can see here, these are not strips of paper. These are actual doctor's report from Dr. Albert Walters. And he sent me to Dr. Wainick. As you see here, this is his signature. They said because of the Dr. Walters' signature was unillegible, that was another reason why they said they rejected my time card in terms of me not coming to work, which was not the case. And that's why I'm saying to the people of Bridgeport, the reason why they terminated me was because I had the audacity to speak out about these terminated dirt piles that was left at the City of Bridgeport Health Department parking lot, And that for the last 16 years, I haven't worked in the City of Bridgeport or anywhere for the last 16 years. And it troubled me that Councilman Ernest Newton at the time was one who I brought to those dirt piles and showed that kids are playing on these piles and that they could come down with some kind of contamination or some kind of cancer. This was told to me, those piles, by health inspectors who were afraid to speak out about these terminated dirt piles. So they told me to speak out about it because they knew that I was normally been in the past of speaking about public concerns, so I had no problem in doing that. But as a result of me doing that, I ended up being put through the mill, where I ended up being forced to have to call on Attorney General Richard Blumenthal, who he had ended up assigning Assistant Attorney General Mitchell to look into the matter. Attorney General Mitchell, could you tell what his letter says, honey?
The letter is dated March 10th, 2009, and the subject is whistleblower complaint. Dear Mr. Young, I very much appreciate your letter dated March 1st, 2009, raising your concerns and questions regarding wrongdoing in government. Your complaint has been given to our whistleblower department for review. Pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 4-61DD, your complaint also will be forwarded to the auditors of public accounts. Upon completion of their review and investigation, they will report back to my office. Pursuant to the statute, we will further investigate this matter as appropriate. We hope this process will help address the concerns we all share to eliminate corruption, violations of law, and mismanagement in state government, quasi-public agencies, and large state contractors. Your matter has been recorded as complaint C-09-1268. And the telephone number for the whistleblower department, 860-808-5355. Again, thank you for contacting my office. If you wish to provide any additional information relating to your letter, please refer to the complaint number indicated above.
And isn't that amazing that the Assistant Attorney General went through all that trouble to help me get this matter resolved, and he ended up having the auditors give their findings as it relates to what they were concerned about that he requested from them. Could you please read that exhibit?
Okay, this was dated November 29, 2010. This will acknowledge receipt of your Freedom of Information Act request to our office dated November 22nd, 2010. In your letter, you requested copies of all documents that have resulted from our investigation into a whistleblower complaint that you submitted alleging the Connecticut State Labor Board misuse of state funds. Copies of all the documents our office received from the Office of the Attorney General and copies of documents that we may have sent to other parties. Please be advised that pursuant to Section 1-210B13 of the Connecticut General Statutes, records of an investigation under provision of Section 4-61DD, for example, the whistleblower statute, are exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. Because the general statutes allow the exemption of these records under the Freedom of Information Act, it is the policy of our office, in conjunction with the Office of the Attorney General, not to disclose the records of a continuing investigation under the provision of Section 4-61DD of the general statutes.
And isn't this all I want, is to find out what was their findings? The auditors did that report, what, in 2010, 2009?
2010.
2010. I mean, what, now here the number in 2023? I mean, how in the world could they have basically now closed my file? Now, you see the file number they gave me. They told me that if I have any concerns about my matters that I want to further report about, sending it up under this file number. Now, the Attorney General Tung told me in his letter that they can't find my records. None of my records can be found. And it really troubles me because as a taxpayer, as a homeowner, you would think that the city of Bridgeport, the state of Connecticut, would be much more responsive to people like myself, okay, who's out there on the front line trying to do the right thing for his people and for the community. But when you see the reason why I lost the case was because you had auditors, okay? Look at the auditors and what they got paid. Albert Murphy, what he got paid? $700.
Labor Board.
Labor Board. Okay, that was the Labor Board. That was the termination part. Now, if you see, Mike Cohad is on that same board. Mike Cohad agreed with the city that the city was justifiable in terminating me, right? But in the same breath, he sat down here on this board, pertaining to my medical benefits, not one time ever acknowledging the fact or saying publicly that yes, Cecil Young was terminated. He didn't voluntarily resign. Had they now tried to turn it around and say that I voluntarily resigned. I never resigned from this job. Why would I resign from a job that I've been there for almost 27 and a half years? And at that time, okay, I was reaching the age of 55 in order for me to get my benefits and all of the above. So why would I want to just retire and lose those benefits after waiting so long and working so hard for the city? But you see here, that's why I said to Mike Cohad, you committed fraud, Mr. Cohad. Look at the amount of money you got here. You should have, and when he was a part of the termination board, he should have told Mr. Wayner, okay, Gerald Weiner, that, hey, we terminated him instead of him allowing it to go on. And the reason why he allowed it to go on was because each hearing, he got paid. He got paid for each one of these hearings, okay? And that's taxpayers' funds. That's why I said that was a violation of the public's trust. Look at what Gerald Weiner got, $800 and $500, $850. I mean, come on, there's no reason for that, for me to be violated the way I've been violated. And I'm saying that's the reason why the auditors went along with the city, because they've been getting kickback. And I'm saying that Cecil Young is saying that. And I say to whomever it may concern, if I can't back up what I'm saying sue me, take me to court. Take me to court if I can't prove what I'm saying. Look at the evidence. I requested under the Freedom of Information Act this information, and this is what I received. He committed fraud. He never one time said, you know, just like if you're going to a jury and you want to be on a jury, they're going to first ask you, is any of your members related to the police department if you're arrested by the police? Well, that's the same thing. If you say yes, they would say maybe you not want to sit on this panel. They would excuse you. He should have excused himself from the medical part unless he was willing to tell the truth. But he did not tell the truth because he felt like he didn't have to, and he got away with it. And that's why I'm saying to you that ain't no way in the world that they should be allowed to commit the kind of fraud they committed and get away with it. I, Cecil Young, said I've been out there in the eye of the storm all my life trying to help do the right thing for our people, okay? And it troubles me because on March 6, 2016, I got married on the same day by the judge's brother, by the mayor's brother, Paul Ganem is the judge of probate court. I told Paul Ganem, would you please marry me and my fiance at that time? Okay, at 12 o'clock, because I planned on getting married. I was feeling that I was going to get fired, you know what I mean? So I said, baby, we're going to get married right away. So we went and we got married right away. And I asked Paul Gannon would he marry us that Thursday, and he said he would. Okay, and as you see, on March 6, 2016, I got married. Here's the marriage certificate. Here's proof that I got married. Okay, so that's why I said to the city of Bridgeport, how can you turn around and turn your back on someone like me who's told the truth? How can someone not want to respond to my efforts? And now I'm being told, okay, under the First Amendment as well, I cannot speak for a whole year. A whole year. I've been denied the right to speak at City Hall, to speak out about my rights being violated. And yes, I use the so-called word that some folks don't want to use, but I use it to make a point. And what would you do after 16 years of pleading with the city of Bridgeport, pleading with the city council to look into my allegations, to investigate my allegations? Then I ended up getting finally Councilman Newton, who was requested by Councilman George Cruz. Before he became a councilman, George Cruz requested on my behalf to Newton, would he look into my allegations pertaining to my termination to see was there any kind of unjust in terms of my termination, which he did do so. According to Janet, the labor relations director at the time, was it Janet?
Janine Hawkins.
Janine Hawkins. And what was her response to the fact? She sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Yes. It says, this was dated March 22nd, 2018. Yeah, just to reiterate.
She basically told the U.S. Attorney's Office to disregard my complaint, look at me as a disgruntled employee, and to disregard my concern. And she sent a letter likewise to Councilman Newton indicating that she did as such. But basically, she did not do that. Now, here's what troubles me is Councilman Newton has all of what I've given you, okay? Every council member has all of what I've posted here today, showing you that I was at work. You have overwhelming evidence showing that I was at work. So why could you treat someone like me who's been out there in the eye of the storm for years and years trying to make our neighborhoods safe? The Tom Busey letter. Here's me doing community policing in Green Homes Department. I used to supervise the Bridgeport Housing Authority overtime police details for 5 years. My office was in Building 5 in Green Homes, okay? And we prevented a lot of crime from happening. We prevented a lot of stuff from going on in Green Homes, Quantic Apartment, P.T. Barnum, okay, in Trumbull Gardens. We were there. And I was supervising them out of my office in Building 5 in Green Homes. And that's why I say to you and say to the city of Bridgeport, go to Green Home and look at the website. See how those residents felt pertaining to how I had the officers relating to the community.
YouTube.
Go to my YouTube and you will see the matters pertaining to what I'm talking about. There's no reason for me to have been treated the way they treated me. Here shows you that I have a right to continue my medical benefits as long as I file a grievance within a timely fashion. I did do as such. Yet and still they deny me my medical benefits because of what? They want to create hardship to me? They took away my city sheriff work. Okay? What did that one do? Took away my city sheriff work.
This is dated April the 11th, 2006. And this letter is from Russell Liskoff, On a professional basis, I have ethical issues with providing work to anyone suing the City of Bridgeport or filing complaints against members of this office. As to your claims against the City of Bridgeport concerning your job, I have no knowledge of the issues, and such issues are beyond the scope of my work. I am sure that all claims will be fully litigated. On a personal note, I wish you well and congratulate you on your marriage. I wish you many years of health and happiness. On a professional basis, I would ask that you refrain from calling me for any new business until you are medically cleared and once you resolve all your outstanding claims against the City of Bridgeport.
See, knowing that I'm sick, knowing that I was sick because of how they've been treating me, and to turn around and to totally disregard me as just nobody, okay, it just don't make no sense. Look at the letter that I got from Mayor Tom Busey at the time, and that was in 86?
88.
88?
July 7th, 88. The superintendent, to the superintendent of police, Joseph A. Walsh. Dear Superintendent Walsh, as my community liaison officer, Cecil Young has been assigned to work with the merchants on Stratford Avenue. As part of his duties, he will introduce the police officers assigned to patrol Stratford Avenue, both the walking detail and the car post, to the merchants and thereby into the community at large. This, by necessity, will entail coordinating his activities with those of the police officer, for example, meeting with them at the start of their shift, walking with them, and introducing them to the merchants. I would expect the same courtesies and cooperation extended to Mr. Young as would be extended to me.
And you know what's so sad about it? If I played the recorder, you wouldn't believe how I was treated. I was told basically, get out of the office. Cecil, you can't tell my man what to do. No, Lieutenant Gibbons, it's not about that. What does the letter say? The letter says that I'm supposed to meet with the details, and you're saying that the details are on the avenue, and I'm saying they're not on Stratford Avenue, because I'm here on the corner of Stratford Avenue and Newfield Avenue, and I do not see no police details walking or even no police car. So could you please have them meet me on the avenue? Because of me continuously trying to make sure that they do what they were assigned to do, they ended up basically me almost being threatened that I'm going to lock you up, get out the office, and all the above, okay? Which I had no problem with that, and I accepted that because I understand that it was hard for them to want to look at a civilian like me who's been out there in the eye of the storm fighting for people's rights and now be in a position of authority to tell them and to make sure that their police do what we need done in our neighborhoods in a way where it's not going to offend people, in a way where it's not going to turn people off, but in a way where it's going to turn them on. Because if you go to Green Homes and you look at the YouTube, you will see Soundview, okay, basically what I've been doing in terms of my community police, and you will see how the police responded to the residents that I supervised those details with, okay? You will see that they were out there playing basketball with some of the kids. You will see that the residents were saying that it was a whole lot safer now. It's a whole lot quieter now. The hallways are not all pissed up now. The drug dealers are not dealing wide openly now. I mean, so there's a lot of positive things being said, a lot of positive things being done by me, okay, over and above that I didn't have to do. Most of my details were basically assigned to just watch the equipment. But because of my ability and being a superintendent, I ended up locking down what they were supposed to be watching and allowing them to be flexible, allowing them to communicate, allowing them to do things that they wasn't supposed to so-called do, but things that I had them do because I was creative. And because they could not stay on their post without somebody like myself monitoring them and making them stay on their post, okay, they just wasn't going to stay there. And that's why you ended up with me having to supervise 3 different details, 8 to 4, 4 to 12, 12 to 8, 4 sergeants each shift, with 4 patrolmen each shift, 8 officers at each shift that I was supervising for 5 years in Building 5 in Green Homes. And again, it wasn't about harassing anybody. It wasn't about making no drug bangers. It wasn't about beating anybody down. It was about showing high visibility, which was what we did, and they prevented crime. We wasn't worried about who you locked up or how many you locked up. We said, no, it ain't about locking up. It's about preventing crime, getting to know the residents and residents getting to know you. That's my goal, and that was my objective, and that's what we accomplished. And that's why I said when you go to the website and you see the residents' response to how they felt I was doing in terms of having these police walk around and talk with the residents and communicate with the tenants. I mean, you will see that it was overwhelmed, and I was overwhelmed. And I gave Mayor Joe Ganim a package of the same stuff, showing him that this is what I've been doing. And I was willing to do it with him for the last 2.5 years, but for some reason or another, because you saying what Russell Liskoff said, okay, because I had the audacity to want to sue the city. Well, I sued the city because they terminated me, because I spoke out about contaminated dirt piles. What am I supposed to do? Okay? I mean, I'm not going to take it sitting down. And because of that, he denied me any more sheriff work. He took that away from me and then had the audacity to put it in writing that he had issues with an elected city sheriff, who I was at the time, for 16 years. Okay? I mean, to turn around and treat me like I ain't nobody, then you want to know why come I say that so-called tired of being treated like a nigga, I'm a black man. I don't say that because I want to. I say that because if that's what I have to say in order to get them to respond to me, so be it. And what's so sad about it, they still haven't responded to me, other than telling me you're no longer allowed to speak at City Hall because of you using that word. Well, I say to you, I've given you a time card. I've given you a check stub. I've given you a doctor's note showing you that the doctor said I should be out under extreme anxiety, being treated for extreme anxiety, and that I should be out under medical leave for a month. You told him, you disregarded his note and ordered me back to work within 2 weeks. I was only out for 13 days after working for the city of Bridgeport for 27.5 years. For my doctor's note to be disregarded as being literally strapped to paper. Okay, and that's what they said, my doctor's note was strapped to paper. They knew that was a lie. Why would they sit there and disregard my doctor's note by giving the impression that all that they had was strapped to paper? These are no strapped to paper. Those were the doctor's notes. See the loop? That's the way Dr. Walters writes. Loop. That's Dr. Walters. I have no control over him. And I told him on the 17th that I'll be going for a colon exam. Okay, they knew I was going for a colon exam on the 17th. There's no reason to be treating me the way that they treat me. And that's why I say to the mayor, to the public, okay, it ain't about we, it ain't about me, it's about we. Okay, there go the grace of God could be you or your next door neighbor. And as I said before, as much as I want to tit for tat with the mayor and his people for them doing me the way they're doing me, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I was going to hit the mayor with some stuff that he probably don't know about it, then he might know about it. But I'm not going to hit him with it, okay, at this time, because I know right now there's election time coming up, and he may not be in that order of knowing about it, so I don't want to persecute him for something he may not know nothing about. But I want you to know that I'm not sleeping, and I'm not letting anybody taking advantage of me. And believe me, when I tell you, I had a beautiful wife who worked with me for 30-something years, okay? And for 16 years, she wrote letters to everybody in the state of Connecticut, everybody in the city of Bridgeport, federal and state, and haven't anyone responded to our issues. And now you tell me that the matter, all of this stuff has been lost? It's all lost? What do you mean? How do you lose my doctor's note? How do you lose the time card? How do you lose a check stub? I mean, I got paid. I got paid for an hour and a half. I was supposed to only work 3 hours that day. I came in an hour and a half and told them I was going for the colon exam. Okay, so they knew that. I was only out for 2 weeks. And to do me the way they did me was a shame and a disgrace. And I'm saying to whomever it may concern, I need your prayers. I need you to contact the Connecticut Post. I need you to contact WICC. I need you to contact any NAB, whoever you need to talk to let them know that there is a lynching going on in the city of Bridgeport. And it's being done with a pen. And it's being done by people that look like you and me. And I say shame on them. You know, we say, look at this here, the 3 blind mice. I got to act like 3 blind mice from now on in order to get justice. Look at this here. That's the way you want me to act like these 3 blind mice? I didn't hear nothing. I didn't see nothing, so I ain't going to say nothing. I have to say something. How can I not say something about contaminated dirt piles like this at a health department where kids are playing on top of during the snow time? They're sliding up and down them piles. That's what I got terminated for. And I'm saying it was wrong that they terminated me for that reason. For 27.5 years, okay, I saved Officer Tony Simmons' life, who was gunned down on Stratford Avenue, got into a gun battle with a brother in the hood, one of my friends as well, okay? But again, I took him to the hospital. I picked him off of the street, off of the ground, and dragged him into the backseat of my car, Tony Simmons, and took him to Bridgeport Hospital. I saved his life. I got an award from Senator Newton. Because I asked him, Newton, would you please give me an award or something? Because I got battles going on, man, and it might look good for me in court, okay, by you showing that I got an award for saving a cop's life. Because at that time, I was dealing with a couple of cops in terms of how they treated my daughter. Okay, so I figured that award might help me in terms of the judge looking at me as being worthy of being heard, worthy of being respected, and so on and all the above. And I thank you kindly for anyone who's heard me, and I hope to God that you do whatever you could to spread the gospel, that there go the grace of God could be you next. Thank you kindly for listening to me. I hope you tune in next week because I'm planning on getting some calls. I'm going to start taking some calls, and I want y'all to call me and tell me how you feel about what I'm saying. I want you to call in and tell me whether you agree with what I said or not. I want you to call in and tell me, okay, am I off the deep end? Did I really have that kind of authority? Yes, I did. God put me in a position to have that kind of authority to supervise cops in our neighborhood. I used to ride in the back seat of the Howland 30 police detail when I was 8 years old, 9 years old when I was a kid. So I'm familiarized with police officers. Okay, and you have a lot of good officers who need somebody like me to help them get through to our people. And I said to the mayor 2.5 years ago, call me, I'll do it for free. Call me, I'll do it for free. Amen, amen, amen.